Hello, sewing friends. Welcome to the TurboPurr channel, where we love everything sewing, crafting, and cats. My name is Ramona, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some information on the Baby Lock Serger Wave stitches. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I hope you are highly entertained, and let's get going. There are different types of serger wave stitches. If you have a baby lock serger, you're likely already familiar with the wave stitch. There's also a rolled wave, a reversed wave, and a flatlock wave. In this video, I wanted to talk about all three. The supplies that I use is I have the Baby Lock Triumph Serger. In order to do the wave stitch, you need a Baby Lock serger that has that capacity for the wave stitch. So look at your owner's manual. The owner's manual, the instruction guide and reference manual is what they call it, is really important to reference here because the threading setups for these stitches are a bit different. The quick reference threading guide is great. Once you're familiar with threading the machine for this, you can just look at it and get a refresh your memory, make sure everything is threaded correctly to do the wave stitches. I stitched out the examples I'm going to show you on cotton quilting fabrics with very decorative threads. And one thing I want to note is that the Flatlock Wave is not included in your owner's manual or in the quick reference threading guide. So I will attach some links in the description box. Deb Canham has got some wonderful detailed instructions on how to do the setup for the Flatlock Wave, and there's also online instructions about how to do that stitch. So, on the regular serger wave stitch, starting on page 43 of the Triumph instruction and reference guide, that is the owner's manual, spiral bound that I've been referring to. Page 43 is the beginning of the instructions on the various wave stitches. So if you haven't done it before, check that out. I always have to double check and remember that I have the settings correctly on the stitch selector. For the regular wave stitch, it's set on B like in boy. So I always have to remind myself to do that because sometimes I forget. This is a stitch sample I stitched out on a folded piece of fabric as an example for you. The wave stitch is done, this regular 3-thread wave stitch is usually done as an edging. So you could put it on the edge of a pocket on a garment you're constructing. It's also handy for edging on quilting. You could do this around the edge of a quilt instead of a different type of a binding. It's very, very handy to use this and to make your own piping as in this example that I've done now. So if you put it on a skinny piece of folded fabric and you stitch the wave stitch down, and in this case I have used a very heavy 8-weight thread, so it's very dense and heavy, and it's got some thickness to it. It makes a nice piping that you could use in tote bags, seams, or you could put it on a purse if you're constructing a purse, or quilt blocks, all kinds of different things, anywhere where you would be using a decorative piping, you could use this application. I have installed this type of a piping using the serger um, and using the piping foot because it is thick when you use it with this type of a thick thread. So the upper looper thread is pink, so I color coordinated the threads colors with the arrows here so you can clearly see which is which. The needle thread is, I used a red color to do this, and it's barely visible. You really don't see much of the needle thread on this stitch. And this is the back of the fabric. So the other side of the fabric that we just saw was as it goes through the machine. So this side of the fabric is the side that was facing the machine that was on the bottom as it was going through the machine. So on this side, you can see that mainly that green lower looper threading is what shows on the back side of the fabric. And you can see a little more clearly that um, right hand needle thread showing. So you're using the O2 needle, which is the needle that's on the right of the machine. I next want to talk about the 3-thread rolled wave stitch. This looks a whole lot like the regular wave stitch. It's a little bit skinnier, um, and the stitch settings are just a little bit different. It's set on C. C is definitely the setting for narrower stitches on the Baby Lock sergers. And this stitch is also in the quick reference threading guide, and the instructions for it are also in the Triumph instruction and reference guide on page 45. This is the rolled wave stitch. I have used contrasting colors again, and the arrows are color matched to the decorative thread colors and the needle thread, so you can clearly see that the upper looper is the yellow, the lower looper is the red, and the needle thread, which is barely visible, is also red. This stitch looks very much like the regular wave stitch. It's a little bit narrower. And I also want to show you the back of the fabric. So this side of the fabric is what was sitting against the machine bed as it was going through the machine. So this is the back of the back layer of fabric. And as you can see, primarily what you see on the back side of the rolled wave stitch is the red lower looper thread. The upper looper thread and the needle thread are barely visible. The reversed wave stitch is really interesting, and again, the instructions are included in the quick reference threading guide for your machine and the Triumph instruction and reference guide. Okay, this is the top of the fabric on the reversed wave stitch. So when I put this fabric through the machine, this side of the fabric was what was facing up. And so primarily what you see is the yellow upper looper thread. What is interesting with the reversed wave stitch is actually the back of the fabric is where the wave is showing. So in this example, you can see more clearly that the wave shows up on the back of the fabric. The Flatlock Wave stitch as mentioned earlier, is not included in the Quick Reference Threading Guide or the Triumph Instruction and Reference Guide. So I did want to mention here that the wave setting is put on D for this stitch. See the links in the description box for the setup. Now, the Flatlock Wave stitch is stitched on a fold of the fabric or to join two fabrics together, and then when the fabric is pulled apart, the wave stitch is attaching or the two separate fabrics or done on a fold. So again, this illustration is color coded so you can see which is which. The upper looper is pink, the lower looper is purple, and the very barely visible right hand needle thread or O2 needle thread is black. This stitch can be used to install zippers with the piping foot. The teeth of the piping foot are against the zipper coil if you want to install a zipper this way. You do have to be careful with installing zippers with this because since it's sewn on a fold, the serger's blade will trim off excess fabric and some zippers will start raveling. I have used a iron-on stabilizer on the zipper tape to prevent the zippers from unraveling when I'm using a Flatlock Wave stitch. It's a really very useful stitch because you can do it in the center of a fabric. It's got a lot of uses for decorative stitching. It's fast and it's easy and it really adds a splash of color. I used 12 weight decorative threads in this example and with a pretty narrow stitch length. This is the wrong side of the fabric, and as you can see here, the O2 needle thread is really all that shows on the wrong side of the fabric. I'd like to thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your comments if you are planning on using any of these stitches in any of your projects or what you're working on. Thank you so much for watching. These are my friendly sewing companions. They say hi. And we all wish you a wonderful day and much happy stitching.